Most of the time, when people think about the origins of economic thought, they jump straight to Adam Smith, Karl Marx, or maybe Aristotle if they paid attention in school. We are taught that economics is a modern invention, a product of the Industrial Revolution and the Enlightenment. But there is a quieter, more dangerous truth hiding in the medieval world, a truth Western history rarely whispers. Imagine a poison that does not kill you instantly. Instead, it slowly numbs your limbs, clouds your vision, and makes you forget who you are. By the time you realize you are dying, you have already lost the ability to scream. In the world of finance, that poison has a name: wealth without morality. Nearly 1,000 years ago, long before capitalism, central banks or the Federal Reserve existed, one man issued a warning that still echoes across every financial crisis today. He did not have a Bloomberg terminal or an Excel sheet, but he saw the echo. His name was Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali. He was the man who predicted the soul-crushing collapse of empires, long before the first bank was ever built in London or New York. Al-Ghazali claimed that when money loses its moral compass, societies do not just fail, they rot from the inside out. He asked one question that should keep every investor awake at night. What happens when a civilization becomes unimaginably rich, but forgets why money exists in the first place? If you think your savings account is safe because it is insured, or that the global economy is too big to fail, you need to hear what Al-Ghazali found in the ruins of the great Seljuk Empire. Because the walls are starting to whisper again. And by the end of this story, you will realize he understood our 2026 reality better than we do. To understand the warning, you have to understand the world that triggered it. Step back to the year 1100. While Western Europe was a fractured mess of muddy feudal backwaters and illiterate lords fighting over patches of dirt, the Islamic world was screaming towards the future. This was the Islamic Golden Age, a superpower that stretched from the orange groves of Spain to the silk markets of Persia. Baghdad, Damascus, Cairo, these were the financial and intellectual engines of the planet, trade routes pulsed with caravans, carrying silk, spices, and silver. It was a world of booming commerce and rising inequality, very much like our own. In the middle of this explosion of wealth, a young prodigy named Al-Ghazali emerges. Part philosopher, part jurist, part critic, born in 1058 in the Persian town of Tus, his mind was a weapon. By his mid-30s, he held the most prestigious teaching position in the Islamic world at the Nizamiya Academy. But what made him unique was not his prestige, it was his refusal to accept the status quo. Al-Ghazali saw a world where wealth was growing, markets were expanding, and yet something felt off. He saw a society obsessed with money, but drifting away from meaning. Al-Ghazali began asking a question few had dared to ask. What happens when a civilization gets rich faster than it gets wise? While Aristotle saw money as a practical invention, Al-Ghazali looked deeper. He examined its psychological and spiritual impact. He looked at how money shapes behavior, incentives, and trust. He realized that money is not just currency, it is a social contract, and he was about to discover how easily that contract could be shredded. But before he could fix the world, he had to survive his own collapse. In 1095, at the absolute height of his power, Al-Ghazali stopped talking, literally. He suffered a nervous breakdown so severe he could not eat or give his lectures. Why? Because he realized that everything he was teaching and the system he was upholding was a lie. He saw that the intellectual and financial elite were more interested in winning arguments and accumulating gold than in the truth. He did the unthinkable. He walked away. He left the fame. He left the salary. He became a wandering dervish, traveling to Damascus, Jerusalem, and Mecca. Al-Ghazali spent 11 years in silence, trying to strip away the noise of the world to find the reality beneath the numbers. During this great silence, he wrote his masterpiece, The Revival of the Religious Sciences. It was not just a religious book, it was a diagnostic report on a failing civilization. Al-Ghazali realized that you cannot fix an economy without fixing the human heart that drives it. He looked at money, and saw a mirror. But what happens when the mirror starts to lie? To Al-Ghazali, money was never meant to be worshipped, hoarded, or used as a status symbol. He compared money to a mirror. A mirror has no color of its own, but it reflects every color. You cannot eat a mirror. You cannot wear a mirror. Its only value comes from what it reflects. Money is the same. Its power lies not in the gold or silver itself, but in what it allows people to trade, build, and cooperate. This is an idea modern economists like to claim as their own. But Al-Ghazali was writing this while most of the world still understood wealth mainly as land or loot. He understood that money is a facilitator, but he also saw a dark side. When people start loving the mirror, instead of the things it reflects, the mirror breaks. And the first sign of a breaking mirror is what he called dead money. Imagine you are a merchant in Baghdad. You have had a massive year selling Central Asian silk. You have got a chest full of silver. You decide to hide it away, locking it in a room, keeping it out of the market to wait for the value to rise. To you, that is security. To Al-Ghazali, that is social destruction. He described hoarded wealth as freezing the bloodstream of society. Idle wealth does not circulate. It does not feed workers, fund trade, or support families. When the wealthy hoard money, they create scarcity, not because resources are lacking, but because the medium of exchange is blocked. This is the echo of our modern inequality. Trillions of dollars sitting in shadow banking and offshore tax havens. It is money that produces nothing. Al-Ghazali warned that when the circulation stops, the body of society begins to die. But hoarding is just the passive disease. He saw a much more aggressive predator in the market, a trick that is currently being played on you every time you look at a grocery bill. Al-Ghazali had no patience for clever merchants. He identified a behavior he called ittikar, or speculative hoarding. Here is the scam. You buy every sack of wheat in the city. You do not sell it. You hide it in warehouses outside the city walls. You wait for the mothers in the streets to start panicking because there is no bread. Then, when the price triples, you open your doors. Al-Ghazali was brutal about this. He did not call it smart business. He called it moral corruption, profit without contribution. He wrote, "Whoever profits from the suffering of others profits from corruption." If this sounds like a commentary on modern financial bubbles, predatory lending, or crisis profiteering, well, it is. He understood what modern economists now call information asymmetry and moral hazard. He just did not use the jargon. Al-Ghazali knew that markets only function when participants trust each other. Remove that trust, and the economy collapses right behind it. But merchants are not the only ones who cheat. The most dangerous manipulation always begins at the top. Medieval rulers, like many modern ones, often found themselves short on cash. War is expensive. Courts are expensive. When the Sultan's treasury ran dry, they used the trick. They would debase the currency. They would take a coin that was supposed to be pure gold and dilute it with base metals. It looked the same. It felt mostly the same. But it was a lie. Al-Ghazali condemned this practice outright as state-sponsored theft. To him, debasing currency was not just poor policy. It was a betrayal that eroded the very foundation of the market. It punished the poor who received weaker coins and destabilized the financial system from the top down. He warned that if states manipulated currency too often, the population would eventually lose trust, abandon the local coin, and flee to stronger foreign currencies. Does this sound like a history lesson or today's news? Since 1913, the US dollar has lost over 96% of its purchasing power. In 2020 alone, trillions were printed out of thin air. From Weimar Germany to modern-day Argentina, the echo is identical when the government tampered with the mirror. The people stopped believing in the reflection, and once people stop believing, the system stops functioning. Al-Ghazali's ultimate lesson was not about math, it was about trust. He observed a chain reaction of distrust that radiated like poison. When a ruler cheats the coin, the merchants feel justified in cheating their customers. When institutions fail to act with integrity, individuals no longer see any reason to act with responsibility. The entire economic order becomes a chain reaction of deceit. His conclusion was stark. A society can survive poverty, but it cannot survive corruption. Economic collapse is rarely about running out of resources. It is about the breakdown of the invisible glue that holds every contract and every transaction together. He understood something deeper about human nature. People hoard out of fear. They speculate out of greed. They manipulate money because money is easy to manipulate. And when a society reaches the point where exploitation becomes normal, collapse is already underway. You cannot fix an economy without fixing the incentives that shape human behavior. We are living in the world Al-Ghazali warned us about. We live in a global economy where money moves faster than meaning. Everywhere you look, there are echoes of the problems he described, playing out on a global scale. His critique of hoarding mirrors today's debates about billionaires and concentrated wealth. His warnings about speculation resemble the volatility of crypto and shadow banking. His condemnation of manipulated currency strikes at the heart of today's monetary policy debates. Al-Ghazali would likely look at our current system, at the $34 trillion of debt, the speculative frenzies, and the institutional distrust, and say exactly what he wrote 1,000 years ago: where justice is lost, prosperity cannot remain. Economies do not collapse because the numbers stop adding up. They collapse because the people inside the system stop trusting each other. Human emotion, fear, greed, and shortcuts. These, not abstract formulas, are what push civilizations toward the brink. Al-Ghazali was not preaching. He was describing reality. Al-Ghazali understood that money is a moral ecosystem, and when that framework disintegrates, the financial system follows right behind it. We are standing at a crossroads. We can continue to ignore the echoes of the 11th century, or we can start asking what value actually means. Al-Ghazali believed that understanding this is not just financial education, it is financial protection. History does not repeat, but if you do not understand the patterns of the past, they will crush you all the same. The question is not whether the system will reset. History tells us it always does. The question is, when the mirror finally shatters, what will you be holding in your hands? If this gave you a new perspective, stay tuned. We dive deep into the moments where money and history collide to help you see the future before it happens. I want to hear from you. In the world of digital printing and record debt, do you still trust the mirror, or is it already starting to crack? History has the answers. You just have to know where to look. Like and subscribe. History does not just repeat, it rhymes. So make sure you are listening for the next Money Echoes. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.